Together in this, you and I. Yes, the job will be done and the race will be won, and we know we will win every time. And we go vote for the love of we country.
We go vote for the PNM. Good evening. Shagwanas, are you ready to join us in government? Clearly you all are. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, the candidate for Diego Martin West, political leader of the People's National Movement, and I dare say, the most disciplined Prime Minister this country have ever seen. Senator the Honorable Clarence Rambarat, Minister of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries, our candidate and the next Member of Parliament for Princestown, because I know her documents are in order, Ms. Sharon Babulal. Our chairperson this evening, Ms. Ranuka Sagram Singh, and I must welcome to Shagwanas our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator the Honorable Moses, and we also have our coordinator and Senator Paula Gopi-Skoon, Minister of Trade. So I should ask Paula, members of the Shagwanas constituency, we have Caroni Central, we have Shagwanas West with us today, and you, the wonderful people of the Central region. If this country ever needed you to make the right decision, it is now. I don't know how many of you have lived for the past 100 years or know anybody who would have survived over the last 100 years. Maybe you probably could have had a conversation with them, and they will tell you the world, the entire world, have never gone through a crisis like we are facing today. As a country, we would have gone through a period of declining energy prices from 2015. But at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020, we got what you call a double dose of lightning with the introduction of the COVID-19 virus in our country and the entire world. What that did, that changed dynamics of how the entire world has to do business. This has been described as the worst disaster in the last 100 years. We as a country will be called upon on August 10th to make a choice. And the choice is simple. Each and every one of us has the opportunity to make our own choice. You have a choice to put a government in office who has a track record like the government between 2010 and 2015, who inflated infrastructure costs by as much as 50, 75, and 100% in some instances, who milked the treasury, who spent all the money from some of our most profitable state enterprises like the NGC. Some of them came into office as average citizens and left office as millionaires, and a couple of them boasting that they were even billionaires. Some of them bought gifts at Christmas for friends like Range Rovers. We all know about that. Or they can offer you as a solution to the COVID pandemic and tell you, clear, sunlight kills, open the borders, keep the bars open, or drink Clorox and bathe with Lysol. You can vote for that. You can choose that. Or you can choose a government led by a disciplined political leader who have ensured that you get value for money. You don't pay exorbitant prices for your infrastructure, and who have kept safety and our health as our number one priority. If you want to choose that government who have proven to keep us safe, ensure that our money was well spent and well accounted for, then the choice is clear. It's the right choice. And that choice is to vote for the People's National Movement led by the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. The choice is yours. You see, we are in the election season. Some people refer to it as the silly season. And you might just say, well, somebody's speaking from a platform, so they can say what they want. So it is my duty to remind you of what went on between 2010 and 2015. Because we have a tendency in this country to forget very fast. And I just want to remind you of 5 things that will tell you how your money was spent between 2010 and 2015. Remember the wastewater treatment plant, the $1 billion plant? We have nothing to show for it. You take a drive down on the Beetham Highway, you'd see a little blue building with some roof. That cost you close to $1 billion, not a drop of water. That plant was $400 million higher than the person who could have done it. But what is significant about that plant is that the night of the election, the contractor was never found. Up to today, no picture. Anybody of you ever saw a picture of Mamu? Nobody knows who Mamu was. All we heard Mamu was doing that plant. Today, nobody have ever seen or heard from Mamu. All we knew, $1 billion gone. 2, remember that San Fernando to Point Fortin highway that this government, and I'll talk about how this government approached it. 2009, P&M government put that project out to tender. Project came in months before, maybe a month before the election. A bid of probably close to $4 billion. The then Minister of Works, led by the Prime Minister, the Honorable Patrick Manning, and his cabinet, found the bid price to be a little too high. It was over the engineer's estimate, and they decided to be responsible and not award the contract because that contract needed to be renegotiated. Not because somebody has the lowest bid, it means you award the contract, especially when you know you could negotiate the contract down. What this government did, they came in and they said, no, we're going to award that contract. Bid completed. That project moved from $4 billion, heading close to when the contractor terminated. The estimated cost was in excess of $7 billion. But what is strange about that contract too is that on the day of the election in 2015, could you imagine election Friday, or is it Monday? A clause in that contract, because we knew the contractor was in problems in Brazil. A company called NIDCO, which is under the Ministry of Works and Transport, for some strange reason, took out a clause in that contract which said that if the company goes into bankruptcy, we could not terminate the contract. Strange again. After the election, contractor gone. But what they left was a bond. And that is what they took out of the contract, the clause that said that we could recover the money from that bond. Prime Minister and the team, his cabinet, led by the Honorable Stuart Young, decided that we will take that fight all the way to the Privy Council. And we won the case. And we were able to recover close to $1 billion from that contract. Had we not gone that way, we would have had to find $1 billion in addition to restart the highway. We took that money and we restarted the highway. Understand the trend. Election come, government out of power, certain contractors gone. If you're gone, why are you running? There's nothing to hide. If you have nothing to hide, stay. That's 2. 3. Curab Interchange. 2013. Contract tendered out. Government estimate $450 million. 2 contractors decided they're going to court because the ministers interfere. One supposed to get it, one not supposed to get it, whatever tralala. Contract aborted. Government change. New government. New tendering procedures. Competitive tendering. No ministerial interference. Same project. Same land. Some additional work. Small but additional work. And you would then expect that if you put additional work on the same project, on the same land, same scope, the price should at least be the same or a little more. Project was done from 450 million, reduced to $218.5 million. Look at that. Let us look at the 4th item. As I said, I just want to pick out 5. I could go through, I have a book there called Why Never Again Kamla. If I give you that book, you spend the whole night here. License office in Caroni. 2009, 2010, a decision was taken, again by PNM government, that we should revisit the license office and we should create a licensing authority. All the discussions was there. Eventually, a bond was supposed to be raised for $340 million. And that $340 million was supposed to build 3 new state-of-the-art license offices, upgrade 6 license offices, fully computerized and bring in the technology that we brought in into all the license offices. Most of the transaction to be done online, like what is happening now, and to transform the license office to the licensing authority. They went out for the bond. They were supposed to reach 340. I think they got 360. You would think, well, if I go for 340, when I reach 340, I would stop there. That's what was required. They took the 360. I can tell you, when I took up the mantle as Minister of Works, I decided, well, let's see what we got for that 3. They spent $340 million out of the 360. What we found was a shell in Caroni. A shell that you couldn't just open. It wasn't a turnkey operation. But $340 million was spent on just the one building. You ask yourself, who was that lucky contractor? Mr. Parasham, you live in the area. It's somebody who we refer to as a guy called Mr. Mamu. Again. So what you were supposed to get for your $340 million, 3 new license offices, upgrade of 6 license offices, and using technology in the entire system to reach where we are today, all you got was a shell. And what I saw at the Ministry of Works was a draft cabinet note asking for additional $300 million to do one in Arima and another $250 million to continue the project. That's how your money was spent. And that's your choice. Either you want to go back to that or you want to go forward. Then we talk about the 5th one. All the talk now about the borders, Venezuelans coming in, and we need to protect the borders, and they are the biggest group of people who are trying to suggest that the government is not protecting the borders. Previous government ordered the OPVs. You could imagine if we had those two OPVs here in Trinidad now, how secure our borders would have been. What they did, they canceled the OPVs, but the OPVs came with helicopters. They canceled the OPVs, but the love for helicopters, they decided to keep the helicopters. Do you know how much those helicopters cost you over that period that they were using it as maxi taxis? Let me give you a story about those helicopters. Once there was some football match or something in Matlot. A minister forgot his jacket in Matlot. Came down with the helicopter. They sent the helicopter back up for the jacket. Could you imagine the cost of that jacket? The cost of those helicopters to you for the period that they use it as maxi taxis from Philippines to Port of Spain to Tobago to wherever they had to go was close to $2 billion. The maintenance costs, I'm not speaking about the cost of the helicopters, because these helicopters are expensive. A helicopter is probably the most expensive mode of transportation. Over $2 billion they spent. Now, I keep talking about billions and billions, but let me bring a sixth one to you, something that most of us might understand. Remember the fire truck? The average person knows that when your car shut down, your car go down a little cliff, you call a wrecker, and they might charge you $500. They might charge you $1,000 or $1,500. Even if wrecker went down, the fire truck went down, that's a huge, a man come and he say, look, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. All right, could argue that case. But think about you and your car, or you and a truck. You pay $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. You know it's $6 million? Think about that. How much wrecker you could have buy for $6 million? How much fire truck you could have buy for? It's better that they leave that fire truck, drain out the oil. You understand? Drain out the oil and make that into a reef or something. It went down somewhere to go. $6 million, we could have buy 3 more fire truck and 2 wrecker. But you know what hurt me with that? You go to PTSC and you see big wreckers park up, owned by the state. You go to the army and they have equipment. You go right by the Ministry of Works and you see equipment. You tell me that we couldn't save $6 million to the taxpayers, but we had money and it wasn't theirs, it was yours. And they knew how to spend it. They knew how to spend your money. Let me tell you how this government spent your money. And this is why you have to make the right choice. This government came in 2015. We had some challenges because the energy prices went into a quick fall. We didn't just decide that we're going to throw our hands up in the air because we promise you, as a country, we're going to continue the infrastructure development of this country. And we had to find ways to do it. And I remember the day I saw in as Minister of Works, I said one thing. When the media asked me, all these projects in the manifesto, how are you going to get it done? And I said, just came out of my mouth, I will do more with less. Because I knew we had less. And we had to produce a lot more if we had to take this country forward. Let's talk about that same Solomon Holtroy Highway that they brought in one contractor to complete. The Prime Minister, on the directions of the Prime Minister, we decided to break the contract up into packages where our local contractors was able to participate. So we went out for tender, competitive tendering, local contractors, foreign contractors. 12 packages, all were won by local contractors because they had the opportunity now to participate. Because when you put a contract out there for $5 billion, there's no local contractor who could qualify for that. Because one of the qualifications that you have is Have you ever built a highway at this? Can you raise a bond? How much contractors build a $5 billion highway in Trinidad? So automatically you throw them out. When you break it up into segments, they can, one, raise the bond, and two, they can show you how much work they did like that. You know, all the packages was won by locals. The foreigners couldn't compete with them. And that highway is under full construction now. Your money is well accounted for. When last you hear about a protest, a strike, a bacchanal along on the South Highway, some people say, but all they didn't continue the highway. They can't believe that that highway is continuing all the way down. We spoke about another highway in Kumoto to Manzalena. From Kumoto to Manzalena, yes. Ends in San Grande, a first-class road. But that South Highway, same terrain, same type of highway, same international standard, they were billing it at $120 million per kilometer. Same highway going to Kumoto, we are billing it at $80 million per kilometer. So if you calculate a saving of $40 million per kilometer, and you consider some of these highways are over 40 kilometers, and that one project, we are saving you $2 billion. And that is why we can boast of, at this time, building 4 highways with decline in revenue. We are building a highway, we continue the highway from San Fernando to Port of Spain. Valencia to Toco, full speed ahead. 8 contractors going up there. Packages broke up, local contractors. Wallafield to Manzalena. And the entire Maruga Road upgrade, the first-class road, all at the same time. And trust me, the savings on one of those highways will give us the Maruga Road, the Valencia Road, and a continuation all the way to Toco. That is what we talk when we say doing more with less. That is what we mean. No minister getting involved in the procurement, value for money, competitive tendering. Let's talk a little bit of the land acquisition. And Prime Minister, I don't know if I could get a little time just to... All right, thanks, because I know my time is up and I have so much to bring to your attention because it's important that we make the right choice. The land acquisition for the San Fernando Highway was budgeted at $400 million. I don't know which part in the world a government could change and the value of land could move from $400 million to $800 million. As we speak, they have paid for about 50% of the land, and we have spent in excess of $650 million. Could you imagine where that land acquisition will end up? Every day I have people calling me for payments. We can't pay, because right now as we speak, there's a commission of inquiry for somebody to explain to this country what went on with the land acquisition on that highway. Now you compare that to the Curep interchange. We met a budget there for land acquisition between close to 150, previous government. This cabinet, recognizing that you can't pay somebody for land more than the value of the land. We use compulsory acquisition. Cabinet, based on the estimates, the market value reduced the budget to $95 million. And they said, compulsory acquisition, the owner brings a valuation, the commissioner of valuation does his valuation, you establish what is a real market value, and you pay the people for that. We have paid close to 90% of the people who have properties there. Reduced the budget from 150 to 95. And as we speak, after paying almost 90% of the landowners, we are just about 60% of the budget that we budgeted. Now that is the way you have to manage people's business. So your choice, basically, is you choose the excessives of 2010 to 2015 or the prudent management of 2015 to 2020. And then you decide, with something like COVID, do you want somebody who say sunlight kills COVID? Open the borders, open the bars, bathe with Lysol, or drink what it is. Drink something, Clorox, whatever it is, you choose. I can go on and tell you at the Ministry of Works and Transport, we would have done in excess of 22 coastal projects. We're not just about highways. Ministry of Work deals with infrastructure. And the procurement that we use, I can tell you, we have adopted and implemented almost all of the recommendations that was put forward in terms of first-in-class procurement. And that is why we can achieve so much. We have completed close to 22 coastal projects. We have upgraded over 700 roads. So it's not just about highways. Over 700 roads. We have modernized the licensing office, something that they wanted an extra $600 million to do. We have done that from the $20 million that they left back. We have opened the Caroni office, because that was closed. It was more or less a shell. We have built a new office in Sani Grande. We have upgraded the Arima office. We have upgraded Port of Spain. So from that $20 million, we were able to achieve what they wanted, almost $600 million to do. And most important, we have used technology. We have brought the license office into the digital era. We have also moved the sea bridge. And you know, it's a pity that on a meeting like this, you can't go into, because I would love to carry a conversation on the sea bridge. Because they have accused us of everything under the sun on the sea bridge. But what they will not tell you is that they left a sea bridge that was in shambles. And as we speak, there's a matter in the court, which I can't refer too much to. It's a pity that due to the COVID, that matter couldn't start and continue. Then this country will see exactly what is corruption, what was happening at the port. We were able to solve that problem and take some of the players, put them in front of the court and let the court decide. But what we did is that we moved the sea bridge from where it was, it's 1,600 passengers one way, to, as we speak, 2,100 passengers one way. And by January next year, 3,200 passengers. Never before have we had 3 vessels, 3 passenger vessels, and a program that if one vessel goes into for maintenance, you have 2 vessels operating. Tobago have always clamored for a cargo vessel that can do the trip in 4 hours and take a fair amount of passengers, the truck drivers. December of this year, a new cargo vessel will be coming, doing the trip in under 4 hours and taking 400 passengers to Tobago. Exactly what the truckers and the businessmen of Tobago wanted. We have engaged that new vessel for them. So we have solved the problem on the sea bridge. We have created, through the Drainage Division, a program where over 1,200 projects would have been completed. But more important, you would have seen yesterday, as major flooding in La Joqueta and Greenvale. And some people started to panic. What you saw yesterday was some flash flooding. Flash flooding. Immediately on getting the call that some people started to panic, I reached out to WASA. I got the drainage department on the ground, and we started to monitor the rivers and the detention ponds. They were not even 50% at the capacity. Not even 50%. Why? Because after the catastrophe in Greenvale, we immediately went out and we widened the Caroni River. We started a project in the Caroni River, made sure the pumps, everything was working. And what we have done at the Ministry of Works and Transport, we have created a program working with the Andean Development Bank to bring flood relief to this country once and for all. We took all the plans that we spent millions and millions on, took all these plans, got the Andean Development Bank to hire a consultant at their cost, not at our cost, And they have created an operational plan for us. Short term, medium term, and long term. We have started all the short term, upgrading our pump houses, bringing in new pumps. Where the rivers, we can widen the rivers, like the Caroni River, we started that. So we took all the low-hanging fruits and we started on that. And that is why Port of Spain, you'll see new pumps in Port of Spain. This year we have 8 new pumps coming in. And we intend to replace all the pumps in Trinidad over the next 2 years. And the Andean Development Bank, through the consultant from Holland, will tell us exactly where the detention ponds have to go on a program funded by the Andean Development Bank. So it's not just about doing studies and studies and studies. We have a plan. We have started the plan, and we intend to tackle this problem of flooding because we do have a change in the weather pattern. And we have to be prepared for that. I want to close because we have other speakers, but I want to give you a little, something happened to me this morning. For the last 3 or 4 days, I was bombarded with a call from a certain businessman in Trinidad. And I keep putting him off, because as campaign manager, I get about 5,000 calls on how to win the next election. But you have to listen to all, and you have to, and the guy insisted he wanted to see me. So I said this morning, come and see me. And when he came, I knew the guy. And he said to me, I came to make a donation. I said, donation, I know you're a businessman, but you don't do anything with the government. You don't do contracts. You don't supply the government with anything. So, you know why? He said that he does business in India. He does business in South Africa. He does business in the States. He has 3 malls in the States. And he does business in Trinidad. He said in India, his business is almost closed down because real estate prices in India have dropped almost 50% because of COVID. He said in South Africa, he can't even survive, but he tried to keep the business going because of COVID. He said in the US, 2 of his malls might go for sale. He said the only place that his business is surviving is in Trinidad. He said he's not making the money that he accustomed making, but he's paying his staff and he's paying his bills. And he's safe. And he wanted to ensure that whatever this government is doing, we continue to do it. So he wanted to make a donation to the party because he felt that he knew what the right choice was. He's not a PNM. He's not any other party, from what I understand. But he recognized that if this country ever needed a responsible government, it is now. And if a person like him could see that, there's no reason why the entire country should not understand that this country needs Dr. Keith Rowley. This country needs Terence Dialsing. This country needs Dr. Parashram. This country needs a responsible government and a responsible party. And that party is the People's National Movement. I have no doubt that the People's National Movement will win the next election. And we will all say, great is the PNM. I thank you.